child, I'd offered you a second marshmallow if you'd sat still for 15 minutes, would you have sat still for 15 minutes and had both marshmallows, or would you have eaten the one right in front of you there and then gone off and done something more exciting? Well, Stanford University did this experiment back in the 60s, and it was meant to be about delayed gratification. And at the time, there was some psychological concepts coming in of maximizing or satisficing. So would you rather have absolutely the best and everything you can have, however long it takes, the 15 minutes to get your 2 marshmallows, or would you rather just say, well, frankly, 1 marshmallow is more than I had before, I'll have that and go and do something more exciting? Now, this is a concept which actually flows into contracts. So there's an idea that actually, if you're pig in the middle, if you're a main contractor, should you maximize your recovery from your client and from your subcontractors to give you the best possible recovery, profits, all that kind of stuff? Or can you just have good enough in both those contracts? So when we're talking about something called liquidated damages, that's a pre-agreed sum. It could be a percentage of the contract price or an actual monetary figure, pounds sterling, cold hard cash, as a result of a particular trigger event. Now, liquidated damages are normally used in the construction sector for delay. And what happens is the client tells the main contractor how much it's going to cost them, or how much they might lose if the project finishes late. Now, for some companies, that can be 80% of their profits. So a lot of retail sectors work on the basis that the combination of Black Friday, Christmas and New Year's sales, it's about 80% of their profits for the year. So miss that kind of golden segment of the year, and they're going to be losses are going to be huge. So clients and the main contractor will agree how much of those losses the contractor is prepared to take. Now, that's normally a limit on the client's total losses, because, well, we can't be liable for everything. So imagine in the recent pandemic, with the production of vaccines, almost none of the companies supplying those vaccines could possibly cope with the losses to the drug companies for not having that vaccine available quicker, because they were making huge sums of money, most of them, with the exception of AstraZeneca, who were basically doing it at cost. So those suppliers aren't going to take the whole losses, but they might be prepared to take a small segment as a sort of incentivization and encouragement to finish the project on time, if at all humanly possible. But then what happens further down the supply network? So the main contractor often doesn't do the work. It floods it down to a combination of suppliers, subcontractors, consultants, all of whom come together to build this project and complete it by this completion date. Now, if, for example, the contractor is bearing £100,000 per week of damages, what do? Do they mathematically divide it equally? Say they've got 20 subcontractors, they give them all £5,000 a week each. Is that going to work, or are they going to load it to the bigger subcontractors depending on the amount of their package, or the ones that are most likely to be on the critical path that are most likely to cause delay? Nobody knows. So what main contractors have done is, rather than think through a strategic approach to how they can disseminate their £100,000 loss to their whole supply network, they take the view that they're just going to say to each of their subcontractors, suppliers and consultants, if you're late and you've caused us to be late, we're going to recover all the money we spend and all the losses against you. Okay, that's called a claim for general damages. A claim for general damages requires the main contractor to prove the amount of their loss, every penny that they've incurred. That subcontractor was the one responsible for that loss and that delay, and it wasn't their responsibility, late instructions, variations, changes, poor management, and that there's a link between the two. So that's quite a lot of proof. So the contractor doesn't want to say to the subcontractor, I'll tell you what, I'll take 1 marshmallow. I might have to give 2 to the client, but I'll take 1 off you now, because 1 now is better than waiting to see how big a pile I can get off you. Now, the problem with proving the amount of pile of marshmallows is the main contractor is going to have to use lawyers, delay experts, quantum experts. That's the amount of their loss. So each of those is going to take a small stack of the marshmallows as their payment for proving how much the main contractor is entitled to. So actually, wouldn't the main contractor just be better off taking a satisficer approach, which is saying, I'd rather have one marshmallow now, I can deduct it now, I can get it, I know how much it is, I know what I've got to recover, I know therefore how I can negotiate further up the chain, rather than saying, I'll tell you what, I'll just wait and see how big a pile I can have. You see, the one marshmallow now, the liquidated damages, provides certainty. It provides certainty of process. You just deduct it off the invoice. You don't have to go through legal process. It provides certainty of outcome. You know what you're going to get. It provides certainty of cost. It doesn't cost you anything. You just deduct it off the next invoice. You need to issue a pay less notice if you're under English construction contract. But other than that, it's simplicity in itself. Yes, it might not maximize your recovery, but it is quick, simple, easy and certain, all things that we all say we want from contracts. And yet when it comes to it, we write clauses which don't give us any of those things. So general damages on one hand, a big pile of marshmallows, subject to anybody taking their costs out, or one marshmallow now. Which would you choose? That's a decision you need to take when you look at how you flow obligations through a chain of contracts. Are you a maximizer? Or are you a satisficer? You choose.